What's happening, news nerds? Back with some more news, are we, you cheeky little devils? I'm not dead. This week in news starts now. So far, so good. Oi, what do we have here then? According to the BBC, a suspect hoping to elude the police was discovered by officers hiding within a sofa. On first appearance, whilst searching an address in Potton, all the police found in the property was a singular friendly dog. But then the police overturned a large sofa to find the man hiding in its base.
Oh, look who's hiding in the sofa. Out you come.
Hey mate, we've got one here, hiding under the sofa.
A spokesperson for the Rozzers said, "We thought that the man would be more comfortable tucked into bed, so he'll be spending the next few hours in a custody cell." Little less of a squeeze that way. We've seen some things in our time, but we must say that this is a first. Unfortunately, the 5-0 were not forthcoming about any other arrest details. Miserable bastards. This is kind of a modern day interpretation of priests hiding in a priest hole. Except instead of high treason, they're probably on the hook for a modern crime, like twocking or selling a train ticket to London for over £100. Either of which I believe the death penalty should still apply to. Tears falling down in the party, saddest little baby in the room. It's Turtuly Crazy. According to AP News, a woman from China pleaded guilty to attempting to smuggle 29 eastern box turtles, a protected species, don't you know, across a Vermont lake into Canada by kayak. 41-year-old Wan Yi Ng, that's what it says on the writing, was arrested at an Airbnb in Canaan on June 28th, as she was about to get into an inflatable kayak loaded with a duffel bag on Lake Wallace. Mounties then searched her duffel bag and found 29 eastern box turtles individually wrapped like a mini roll in socks, each of them with a Chinese black market street value of approximately $1,000. Her phone was then seized, and a search of it found communications showing that she tried to smuggle the turtles into Canada for eventual lucrative sales on the Hong Kong market. And when it came to court recently, she pled guilty to 1 count of unlawfully attempting to export and send 29 eastern box turtles out of the United States. She is scheduled to be sentenced in December and faces up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. Ooh, that's gonna hurt. It's not exactly Tony Montana in a bathtub full of dust, is it? What was she really gonna make out of this situation? $29,000? 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine seems pretty steep. But I suppose they have their reasons. It probably funds the police that they can go out there and shoot innocent people whilst they're minding their own business. Hey, if you live by the Conker, you better prepare to die by the Conker. According to Sky News, the World Conker Championships is investigating after the men's champion was found with a steel chestnut in his pocket. 82-year-old David Jenkins became men's champion, having competed in the event since 1977. The new champion, also known as King Conker, nice, had several victories during the tournament, where he destroyed his opponent's conker in 1 hit. Do you ever say a word and it loses all meaning? Conker, 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 conker. His rival in the final, Alistair Johnson Ferguson, raised the alarm after his conker disintegrated in 1 hit, something he said just doesn't happen. Then later on, a fake steel conker, painted brown and conkerish, was later found in Mr. Jenkins' pocket. Nutty boy! David, the alleged conker cheater, however, completely denies using it, saying it was only in his pocket for humour value. He also denies an allegation that as conker preparer, there is such a thing, he marked the strings of the conkers so that when they are randomly selected from a sack, there would be an indication of which are the harder ones. This feels like very Judge Judy sort of stuff, or Judge Rinder, our British knockoff version. Close scrutiny of match videos seem to indicate David's innocence, but investigations are ongoing, and John Burkett told Sky News it looks like it was absolutely impossible for him to cheat. We have got some various other testimony that indicates innocence. Mr. Jenkins, however, lost the overall competition, losing to the women's champion, Kelsey Banshabach. This is great publicity, but let's keep in mind that this is a charity event, and this and previous iterations of this event have raised approximately £420,000 in total for charity. So in the end, it's probably more like he had conkers of steel rather than he had conkers made of steel, and all the allegations were just sore losership. Mind, if I saw one of my conkers disintegrated at the hands of another man, I too would be pretty angry. What's this, a sniff and run? According to AP News, a judge in northern Greece imposed a suspended 1-month prison sentence on a man convicted of disturbing his neighbours by repeatedly sneaking into their properties to smell their shoes. The 28-year-old lad told the Thessaloniki court that he couldn't explain his behaviour. I can. Perverts. He told the court it had caused him great embarrassment and that he had no intention of breaking the law or harming anybody. With neighbours testifying, he never showed any sign of aggression during his nighttime visits. The path to court started when police were called and he was arrested on October the 8th. This was after a neighbour found the 28-year-old in his front yard, sniffing his family's shoes which had been left outside to air the niff out. The court heard that there had also been 3 similar incidents in the past 6 months. This was despite neighbours asking the 28-year-old's family to ask him politely to knock it on the head. With it being a suspended sentence, he hasn't been really given any prison time, but he has been ordered to attend therapy. But if he doesn't, then prison. My final thought is this. If you want to sniff shoes or socks or whatever, there's an entire internet's worth of girls, guys and in-betweens willing to send you basically anything. If you're going to perv it up, do it right. At least let it be some Ukrainian model who's done a busload of star jumps in her ballet pumps whilst thumbing herself silly. Not 80-year-old Doris down the road with a massive mole in her face. 3 is just showing off. According to Newsweek, a man has been discovered to have 2 extra penises by medical students dissecting his body, marking only the second time anyone has ever been found to have 3 penises. Bloody hell. 2 people with 3 penises. The triple penises were found by students from the University of Birmingham during a dissection of a 78-year-old man who had donated his body to medical science. According to researchers, he might never have known that he was so well endowed, and the man's condition, known as triphalia, not to be confused with the delicious dessert of a similar name, is only thought to affect 1 in every 5 to 6 million live births. The man externally appeared to have a pretty normal set of equipment, but the students found 2 other micro sausages hidden in his ball bag, or scrotum if you want to be proper. Right, here we go, diagram time. Numbers 6, 7 and 8 on the picture is sort of 1 penis, and 9, 10, 11 and 12 is the other micro penis. According to researchers, although he may not have noticed the extra penis, I think that's the plural, he may have suffered with more UTI infections, erectile dysfunctions and other fertility issues. Maybe even pain during sex due to the tiny penises becoming erect, which is genuinely what it says in the article. Not that any of this is a problem now though, he's 100% dead. He has not successfully dodged his coffin. He is pushing up daisies. He took the last train to Pound Town. Top tip then, more isn't always better. Although I've seen that tri-breasted woman on Total Recall, and that seemed pretty alright to me. As a 12-year-old, I nearly wore that part of the tape out. Wow, it looks like you're stuck between a rock and another rock. According to the BBC, a young woman spent hours trapped upside down after slipping between 2 boulders as she tried to retrieve her mobile phone during a hike in Australia. The woman, who was named in an ABC report as Matilda Campbell, was out walking in the Hunter Valley region of New South Wales, where she then fell into the 3-metre crevice. I once knew a girl whose nickname was 3 Meter Crevice. The friends that she was hiking with had tried to get her out themselves, obviously, but they had found it impossible. And by the time help arrived, she'd been stuck upside down in a sort of S-bend for more than an hour. It eventually took 7 hours to get the woman out, with emergency services describing the rescue as challenging and it requiring a 500 kilogram boulder to be moved out of the way. Amazingly though, after they did get her out, she's only been left with some minor scratches and bruises. Although she did not, however, manage to retrieve her phone. All that trouble and she didn't even get her phone back. Pathetic. If I lose my phone though, best believe I'm going after it, no matter the cost. That thing has information on it I'll never get back. Sure, it's mostly shopping lists and random measurements from projects I never started, but there's the odd golden nugget. If I lose my circa 2000 Blockbuster membership card number, who am I going to ring to get a new one? Crawling in my guts, these wounds are when I heal. That's going to sound well annoying. According to the Inside News Hub and the Indian Express, doctors at a hospital in New Delhi, India, were astounded to discover a 3 centimetre cockroach in the small intestine of a patient complaining of stomach pain and indigestion. When the 23-year-old arrived at the Fortis Hospital in Vassal Kunj, close but not quite, he felt that the issue was because he'd eaten street food a few days before. That's when doctors performed an endoscopy, which is doctors speak for camera in the stomach, during which they found a live cockroach in the man's small intestine. I've got heartburn now. Is that a cockroach? Tell me now! Dr. Shubhan Vatsia told the Indian Express newspaper. Even we were surprised as to how the cockroach managed to remain intact. After they found the once again live cockroach, gross, they removed it using another couple of endoscopy doofers, one of which was essentially a vacuum. They had to do this as fast as possible as well, because apparently having a live insect there could have caused even more severe problems. I'm guessing poor reviews on TripAdvisor. The gastroenterologist, however, could only speculate on how it got there. And in their words, it was either swallowed whole at the night market, grim, or it crawled down his throat at night. That is nightmare fuel. I do love a night market, you know, but I'm often wary about what things I put in my mouth now I'm older. Used to be a time and a place where I'd be buying nondescript powders in bags and they wouldn't get past the nightclub queue line. But now, if I don't know the name and lineage of the person who offed the animal I'm eating, I can hardly enjoy my Dom Perignon. I was under the impression that the passport guidelines said eyes front, so... According to The Guardian, Paddington has been one of the UK's favourite and most prominent refugees for 2/3 of a century. Now Paddington Bear, whose official name is Paddington Brown, has been granted a British passport. According to an interview with Rob Silver by the Radio Times, Rob said, "We wrote to the Home Office asking if we could get a replica, and they actually issued Paddington with an official passport. There's only one of these." He then produced the document, complete with Paddington's photo inside, adding, "You wouldn't think that the Home Office would have a sense of humour, but under official observations, they're apparently just listing him as a bear." Apparently in the new film, Paddington needs to go back to Peru for some reason. I haven't seen it, but hopefully hilarity ensues. One weird thing about the new film though is it's filmed in Colombia. Must have been reasons obs, but I'm thinking it was probably money. Would those geoguessers know? Yes. Would I know or care after a View Cinema hot dog, a large popcorn and a Coke or Coke-ish derivative? No. There's not much to this article other than that, if I'm honest. I mean, it was very obviously just a plug for the new film. I just thought it was funny. Funny that an official government agency was surprisingly cool for once. Now all I need is the government to be really cool and start funding my strip clubs for the needy project. GRX, mate. Pushing the boat out once again. According to The Guardian, the Christmas pop-up in Fenwick, Newcastle will pair sausage rolls and other classic bakes with £75 a glass champagne. And according to the article, the reservation-only Greg's Champagne Bar, Legends, which is apparently inspired by 1920s Paris wine bars, but obviously with sausage rolls of which 1920s Parisians would be rolling in their grave, opens next week in the Newcastle department store, Fenwick. It will feature 16 seats around a curved bar, with guests encouraged to ring vintage crystal bells for a refill of Luzy Rodier Cristal, a £425 bottle of French Plonk. You can though order something which is more Tyne than Sen, with Scran starting at under £5 and a Prosecco apparently inspired by a Greg's Jam donut coming in at only £11 a glass. The Scran menu for the pop-up is apparently created by Fenwick's head chef and pairs the Greg's favourites with fancy pants sauces like peppercorn alioli, hot honey chilli and Bloody Mary ketchup, which is probably Heinz with the writing rubbed off. This will be open from the 24th of October right through to the 31st of December. And if someone from GRX wants to send me and Mrs. News a reservation, we'll be on the first overpriced Avanti West Coast train to get there. Craigs, mate, can you stop being so legendary? How's Pret a Manger going to compete with such perfection? It's like Mackie's looking up at Burger King wondering why sandwich pressed beef hoof doesn't taste as good as Rump of Daisy from Scotland. Also, why is Mackie's £1 million now? It's not gone up in quality, it's gone down in value. Here are my honourable mentions. These are stories that just didn't quite make the cut. According to The Guardian, a US startup is going to start charging folk to screen IVF embryos for IQ. Undercover footage showed these sort of services going for $50,000. So not cheap. Thankfully, this sort of thing is banned in the UK. But over there, it's game on. And it can apparently produce a specimen with up to 6 IQ points more than normal. They can also screen for things like sex, height, risk of obesity, and risk of mental illness. Great. The film Gattaca predicted all this, and soon anyone who isn't genetically altered will only be fit to be a bin man. Which is great, incidentally. Them lot are on a fortune. And my final honourable mention is from Tom's Hardware and Wales Online. A Welsh bloke whose partner accidentally threw out a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin is trying to sue Newport Council for £495 million, which was apparently the peak price of 8,000 Bitcoin. This is because they won't let him search the waste dump it was apparently located in. The man previously offered the council 10% as a sort of finder's fee, which works out to be approximately £41 million, but by the sounds of it, they weren't interested, and this has led to the court case. The guy who's brought the case and his team of backers plan to carry out a £10 million search, which would take 18 to 36 months, but also commit to a further year of remediation work. But as far as the claim goes, the council have already responded saying it's a fundamentally weak claim, which we are vigorously resisting, with the council saying that the hard drive with all the Bitcoin became legally theirs anyway after it was dumped at the site. The man has said though that if only the council had entertained his excavation requests, Newport would look like Dubai. And according to the article, currently it still looks like Newport. So top tip then, don't throw away your Bitcoin, kids. Although I have, and countless other computer nerds did. I remember you couldn't use it to wipe your arse at one point. One bloke bought 2 pizzas for like 10,000 Bitcoin. It took me a week to mine 1 or 10, I don't know. And that was with my bedroom sounding like Heathrow. And at the time, we had more value in the truth that was coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. Tears falling down in the party. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you do so fancy. Also, if you think there's any news that we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description below. Please also check out our news sources down there in the description, because otherwise why am I doing it? I should not bother. But I'm doing it, so look. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed. Wah! Stay grey there.